Okay, good morning, all. Another episode of the Property Business Podcast. We have a four-way podcast today. We have myself, Mr. Jonathan Woods, Jack Bowyer, and we're going to be discussing Nicholas Ifill's EXP business. Mr. Woods, how are you today?
Yeah, really good. Lovely sunny day. As opposed to yesterday, it was raining. Full diary, which was great. Also, pretty excited to go to Wimbledon tennis tomorrow. So looking forward to that.
Oh, lucky bugger. I always forget to go to that. Jack, how are you?
Yeah, good man. Really good. Happy days.
How's running a business and having a young baby? This wasn't the content of the pod. I'll have to kind of get you on about that, but give us a quick snapshot into that.
No, it's really good. It's I think it's worth a longer conversation, but radically changed how I'm thinking about things in a really positive way.
Amazing. And obviously, Jack introduced Nicholas Ifill to EXP, so that's why we're going to be discussing today. Nick, how are you today?
Yeah, all good. Jonathan saying another sunny day, enjoying life, enjoying the EXP journey so far, enjoying the freedom that it comes as well. So just come from the gym this morning, dropped my son to nursery. So yeah, living life.
Awesome. We'll come on to how you kind of structure your EXP business, but it sounds like you structure it around gymming and your family, which is awesome. We'll come on to that as well. So Nick, who are you? Talk to us a bit about your kind of real estate career prior to joining EXP.
Yeah, so Nicholas Ifill. So myself, I studied business and marketing at university. Out of the bat, my first exposure to property was in lettings. Very early on, kind of in doing lettings and kind of renting out properties. Had a brief stint at an old newspaper magazine called The Loot. I'm not too sure some of you remember The Loot.
Oh yeah.
Selling advertising space to landlords back in the day before the internet. Then I went off, did various different things. Mainly, I was a project manager. So I used to work for Boeing, who make airplanes. So I handled a lot of their IT implementation projects and multi-million-pound projects in the aerospace. And for me, that's one of the best transferable skills I have when it comes to being an estate agent, because especially being a self-broker, is you in touch with all pieces of the puzzle, kind of getting involved with everyone and kind of bringing them together, getting through to completion. So for me, that's the great transferable skill that I have. During COVID, I took an opportunity to take redundancy. Obviously, when COVID hit, no one was flying at all. So Boeing obviously gave opportunity to take redundancy. I took redundancy and then really delved back into my passion, which was property. And I, again, going back into that very early on, I started out using a model called rent to rent, which is kind of working with landlords, renting out their properties, HMOs or service accommodation. And then when redundancy hit, I said, let's go property full 2 feet in. And that's when I started looking at the sales aspect. But I knew very early on I didn't want to go into like a corporate estate agency office, kind of working from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That wasn't me, didn't work with my lifestyle. And then obviously the broker model is what I was drawn to. Worked with another brokerage very early on, specializing in luxury sales. Had an awesome, amazing first year.
Which one was that, Nick? Which one was it?
So I was at Tyrone Ash Real Estate. So very much early adopters of how we are now in the kind of this industry.
Definitely.
In terms of social media to kind of leverage your sales, specializing in the luxury market. So my first house I sold there was 1.4 million. So I had a good year with them. And then, now at a journey.
I didn't see you on the TV show, Nick. There was, didn't they get Luxury Mansion Hunters or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't on the TV. I joined just as that kind of
sure enough skirts for you, Nick.
It was a good show. Obviously, so good positive about that.
Yeah, I enjoyed
it. Why did you go to Tyrone Ash? You said you did a few research. I mean, Tyrone Ash is probably one of the ones that sort of started it. Why did you approach Tyrone Ash back in the day?
I just saw it on social media. So it wasn't so much, I did a lot of research in terms of the broker model. I saw very big on social media in terms of kind of what they were doing. So then we reached out, and then that's how it started.
And talk to us a bit about the structure. Was there any support? How did you find your time there?
Yeah, it was good. As I said, it was definitely a kind of learning curve. I would say you kind of learning by the fire. It's a very different beast compared to how we are at EXP. EXP, I would definitely say, is a little bit more kind of structured and organized because they have that kind of corporate kind of backing behind them and the support there. But yeah, it was definitely a good experience. But EXP is definitely, for anyone looking at the brokerage model, I think hands down, is one of the best out there. if not the
And
best.
we'll come on to that. Where were you when you were at Tyrone Ash? Where were you working? What was your market and what was your strategy?
So mainly covered southwest London and the London area, and the main strategy was literally targeting houses over £1 million plus, so the £1 million plus market really.
And that was literally door knocking, wasn't it? So
Yeah,
yeah, door knocking.
it was door knocking. So definitely not adverse to kind of door knocking. A lot of the listings that got on very early on came from me literally knocking doors. One of the other ones was on with Foxtons. I remember I knocked the door. It was on at 1.4 million on with Foxtons. I said, look, I live in the area. I know the area well. I think you could do a lot better with you in terms of your marketing because I live in this area.
Yeah.
No, happy with Foxes at the moment. So fine, no problem. Let's kind of stay in contact. Kind of followed up. I saw that Foxes then reduced it a couple of months later to by 150,000. I knocked the door again and said, look, just taking 150,000 pounds off your property. I think there's a better way that we could do it. So I then relaunched it, offers over £1 million, and they was able to achieve 1.35.
Nice.
Wow.
Broke the ceiling price in that area, and that was kind of purely down to kind of the marketing strategy that deployed.
And what are the splits? What are the splits at Tyrone Ash? How did it work?
Splits at Tyrone Ash is 50-50.
Okay.
So it's a 50 split with the brokerage, and obviously it's 50 split with you as agent. But with Tyrone Ash, there is no cap. That's one of the advantages that you have at EXP. So we cap. So the cap means for your capping year, if you bang, I think it's £85,000 for that year. After that, every single sale is 100% yours minus a £250,000 transaction fee. So that is very attractive in terms of when it comes to kind of big volume and kind of getting more money in your pocket.
And then
James, I was just going to jump in. Firstly, the cap's 80, not 85. Don't overpay your cap.
Oh, yeah.
That shows that Nick hasn't capped yet, but we'll hopefully get you there, Nick, quite soon.
But I think it's a really valid point, and it's something which if anyone's listening and they're considering looking at different brokerages, which they all have their pros and cons to it. The one thing I always talk about when I say to people is obviously do your due diligence and just think about are you embarking out on to be just someone that's going to be a plodder, or are you going to be a top producer? If you're someone that is going to make a success of your business and you partner with a brokerage without a cap, I would urge you to work out what your split will be if you were to do 200,000, which is perfectly within the broker world, especially in London. 200 grand in year two is not pie in the sky figures. If you think about on the high street, for you to make £200,000, you would need to be a extremely senior person within a very high-end corporate job. But doing 200 grand as a broker, it's pretty doable. Now, if you've got a 50-50 split, you're paying 100 grand to your brokerage. Are you getting £100,000 worth of value? With EXP, you're paying 24k. And so what it does is it levels the playing field across the whole of the spectrum of agents, that it doesn't mean that the top producers are holding up the brokerage with their contributions. It should be that the people that are the most successful make the most money. Yes, you might make a proportion more than the guys at the bottom, but if you're paying 4x what the guy who's doing half of your work is doing to the brokerage, you're the guy that's holding it up. So you've got to think really, really carefully about that, because I think people just go in blind thinking, great, I've got an X and this, and I'm going to get a brand, I'm going to get leads. It's like, well, look, two years down the line, when you run your numbers and the other guy who decided to go XP runs his numbers, I think you'll be quite shocked about the amount of money that you're giving away for very little extra on top. But I just wanted to just put that in there, because it's something I'm very passionate about.
And then Nick, you have an interesting EXP journey. Obviously, you've since rejoined the EXP in our organisation, which we'll come on to. But what was the attraction initially when you first joined EXP, and how did it come about?
So it came about. So as I said, it was at Tyrone Ash Real Estate, and there was one of the things that we do very well, I think, as brokers, is chain checks. So on a sale, checking along the chain, and there was a lady who I called up, who was handling a sale of a buyer. And she obviously kind of mentioned about EXP and obviously kind of all the value that you kind of get as a brokerage. And obviously, as Jonathan just mentioned about the splits, and obviously kind of gave me the kind of insight to that. It was all fantastic. So yeah, okay, cool. I like the model and I like the sound of it. So initially said, yeah, we're going to run a bit, go with EXP. She was based in East London, a fantastic lady, really helped and kind of get off the ball. And one of the things that EXP have now recently launched is co-sponsoring. And had co-sponsoring been around now, then or is now, I think that would have been a great opportunity to kind of work with her and obviously with you guys as the org. One of the things that for me, which I felt was a little bit lacking, which I felt I needed a little bit more, is the collaborative around where I'm based, which is kind of Southwest London. And obviously with the org, a lot of us are around kind of the Southwest London or Southeast London predominantly. And obviously we are all, I think, a little bit younger in terms of our age, a little bit more kind of hungry, motivated, active as working as agents. And for me, I felt there's a lot bigger value in terms of where I can take my business, obviously with the org. So I made the decision to kind of go away. As I said, I have some other interest in property as well. I do a lot of kind of service accommodation. So I took a period of time out to kind of focus on that side of the business to help with cash flow, because especially in the beginning as a broker, cash flow is very a good thing that you need to have behind you as you get started. So I took some time out, and then obviously when I did decide to rejoin, it was hands down a no-brainer for me to kind of join and partner with you guys here at the org. And obviously I'd been in communication with Jack. He was at another brokerage before he joined EXP, so we was in conversation. And I met yourself as well, James. We kind of had a coffee at David Lloyd's. Look, let's kind of work together. You get the value of working with Jack, you get the value of myself and Jonathan. It'll be best place to kind of put you all together.
Amazing. Yeah, so you rejoined, so you left for 6 months, you rejoined EXP in our organisation. And as you mentioned, obviously, Jack, myself, and John, we have all your direct partners helping you to be successful. So obviously, that's why I've got Jack on the call as well. Jack's based in Wandsworth. Nick, you're based in Southwest London. Can you explain a bit of the support that whether Jack or we have offered you in regards to sales valuations? I see that you and Jack went down to Battersea Beach. You're doing all these kind of Instagram stories. Whose idea was that, and how did that come about?
Yeah, I think it was a joint effort in terms of we definitely kind of understand that there is a process that we need to kind of, as I said, get as much attention as possible and follow the strategy, sharing what you're doing. So using like LinkedIn, social media, Instagram, and obviously kind of one of the things I think is very well put together is like a crib sheet that you put together, James, and so look, these are things you need to do. You're ticking these boxes, and then when you're working with someone very closely, it helps you kind of makes you accountable to make sure you're going to get those things done. And I remember we said, let's kind of put some social media strategies in place. And I think when we shot that kind of day in Battersea Reach, I think Jack got what 10,000 views or more 100,000 views. Jack, what was it?
Yeah, it went a bit mental. It was 100 and something, I think. It was nuts.
Wow. What was the post about?
It was saying how stuff listed on Rightmove is essentially a list of properties that have failed to sell.
Wow, yeah. Slightly controversial, but it got people kind of thinking about it.
Well, the concept is essentially if you see something listed and it's been on there for like a month or longer, you can kind of read into it and it's overpriced, right? Whereas people think, oh, that's like mine must be worth that. They're just trying to educate the audience a little bit.
Yeah, and obviously, Jack, your story, an amazing story. So I strongly recommend people listening to Jack's story. Was working self-employed in a shop to get to where you are. You've now in your second year, you've now capped as well. So you know that the cap is 80k, not 85, as Nick mentioned earlier. And Jack, you're now helping other agents to, I guess, join EXP. You've now got, is it 6 or 7 guys in your group? And obviously, Nick, from your point of view, I think something that you kind of mentioned is that previously, the sponsor that you were under, you tried to introduce agents to that lady, but I don't think anyone joined. Obviously, since you've rejoined, you've now got how many agents already on board underneath you, Nick?
I think there's 3 at the moment, and obviously more hopefully in the pipeline to come. And definitely, obviously, as it grows in terms of you build that kind of agent attraction model, and kind of again, as you always say, follow the process and share. Not only just my story, but everyone within our kind of team is always kind of working together to kind of say, look, this is a fantastic opportunity. And as you always say as well, life changing as well in terms of what you could potentially kind of, not just about in terms of money, but more importantly about the freedom that you get. So as I mentioned this morning, I was able to drop my son to nursery, went to the gym for a quick session before this, and obviously then I'll start the day and then kind of work throughout.
Nice. And Jack, how have you been helping Nick with regards to his business?
I think we've helped each other. We actually, big one, we had our first exchange together yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Which was that one?
Really good timing. So it's a flat that was in my building.
Nice.
So as you mentioned before, Amy and I recently had a little boy, and basically it was awesome because I think one of the fears people have when they go self-employed is that they're going to be alone. But I was like, Nick, I'm going to be in hospital for a little while with Amy. Want to help? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So, gave him my keys, introduced him to my clients, and Nick just ran the show while I was out. Actually got 2 deals tied up, one exchange yesterday. So that was a really good moment for us. And another really cool win was I've got this beautiful flat between Battersea and Wandsworth on the market, and Nick showed someone who wasn't on the market but really liked it, and within a week he'd met them and put their property on the market.
Amazing.
And that was all from working together. So Nick took some videos and things of the property, put them on his socials, got a lead. From that lead, got a viewing. From that viewing, got a valuation. From that valuation, got a listing.
Awesome. So I guess so many points on this. As you kind of mentioned, Jack, some of the things going self-employed, you can't go away because there's no support. Our organisation, we now have 100 agents. If you build your revenue share group, I have 78 agents in my group, i.e. so many agents within the M25. If I go away, I've got so many agents that I can collaborate with, and you're obviously kind of building that on a smaller scale. You've now got Nick and other agents all over London as well. And that obviously then gives additional help, additional leg up for Nick. There's some start, put it on your kind of social media, get going. And then if Nick does follow the process, put it all over social media, he's getting a listing on the back of it. So there's so many amazing points there as well. Nick, talk to us a bit about your EXP business. Are you still focused Southwest, or what sort of areas are you covering?
Yeah, so it's mainly south west London. So kind of generally looking at all the KT postcodes. So from KT1 all through to KT13. So that's kind of where I live. Also touching a little bit into southwest London. So as Jack mentioned, we had a couple of properties on where he lives in Clapham and Battersea. I have another property that's in Clapham, just right near the Common, that's now sold and under offer, going through conveyancing at the moment.
Is that the one on Cavendish Road?
It's just round the back of Cavendish Road. It's on Bonneville Garden.
Nick, your Instagram videos were absolutely amazing. Like the
really
lifestyle video you did of you running through Clapham Common. It's so amazing where obviously EXP gives agents the business. We give an extra level of support, the crib sheet, the useful contacts. We go through the lead generation process, BNI, social media. We do all that we can to help agents, but there's nothing more rewarding than seeing an agent like yourself take it on by yourself and do this most amazing Instagram video. Can you run us through your thinking with regards to getting dressed up in your sports kit and running through Clapham Common? Like, how did that come about?
If you haven't seen that video, you got to go check it out. So for me, we'll put
a link under this somehow. We'll figure it out for you.
I think, as I said, as a broker, and I think we're bespoke brokers, and we take every single property as an individual, in case by case. And this particular property is in a great location, right next to Clapham Common. Now, it wasn't the best in terms of its condition; needs a little bit of refurbishment. So for me, how can I showcase in the best possible light rather than just, oh well, it's a fixer upper? More kind of showcase in the area. Or if you're living in Clapham, you got to go running, you got to go grab a coffee. And obviously, space-wise, it's amazing. 3 bedrooms, over 1,000 square feet. And in terms of where it's priced, in terms of what the end value could be, it's a great location and a great potential. So that's what's come up with more of the thinking. How could I kind of get the exposure? And I think,
I was just going to say, I think it's what I find the evolution of the way that we do business has become not just EXP, but just sort of self-employed brokerages in itself, but more so with EXP because of the personal branding that you get. Your personality is you. When you go to the States, you'll see that you've got brokers in cowboy hats. You've got people that wear, it's about putting your own persona into what you do and creating this personal brand around yourself, and that's really empowered by EXP itself, because it's agent first and brokerage second. So you can really build something for you, not constrained by, I was walking down the street yesterday and I saw a bunch of sale boards, and it's just the brand and the people behind that. You have no idea who they are. It's so, even the brokerages that actually do have the names of the brokers, it's the brand name first in this massive lettering and the tiny person at the bottom. So you're creating your own personal brand around yourself, and I think that's amazing. I really do.
I think one of the driver forces in terms of kind of switching brokerages was, as you mentioned, Jonathan, is about user individual agent. So obviously, as EXP, obviously you have free reign to kind of do what you want. Obviously, there are constraints in terms of marketing, but it's literally your name that's on there. You're powered by EXP. A lot of us recommend having a photo on the board as well, so it's up right front and center.
And then, so you did two. Go on, John.
No, I was just going to say, just touching back onto what you were saying about the supports and various other things that you put in. And that's something that, James and I have worked really hard on. It's not an EXP thing. EXP does have a great onboarding setup, but obviously with the cap and everything else that we have, the amount of the margin is quite small from the company, so they can give you what they give you, which actually is phenomenal. Websites and it's business in a box, which James and I were doing our webinar on Thursday. But I think one of the sort of things I was going to touch back onto that was talking about sort of the network. And a question to you, Nick, would be, if you're sort of predominantly Southwest and maybe West London, if you had one of your buyers comes along and's got something to sell in Southeast London, say in Lewisham, what would you personally now do with that? What would you do with it?
Hands down, that's such an easy thing to do. Someone's a buyer in Southeast London. First of all, I would have to see, well, how far in Southeast London, because Southeast London is not necessarily too far from where I live.
Let's say east. It's a long way. It's a long way.
Reach out. We've got a fantastic community, WhatsApp community, where it's all kind of broken down. So look, can anyone cover this? Anyone cover it? Happy to kind of offer this buyer. And obviously a lot of them we kind of share splits. And it's also about, one, not only helping the client to get a best service, but also for me in terms of kind of passing on that within our network. And even if it wasn't someone within our network that could kind of facilitate it, within the whole of EXP, we're now 700 strong. That's amazing. There's someone that within the whole of EXP that could definitely kind of I can pass that referral to.
So I think that just if I rewind, I don't know if someone's got something on the background, if they can just turn that off if it is. If you rewind 3 years ago, and this is not a back in my day thing, but it kind of is. So when James and I were finding our way through this, if I got a listing that was in any part of London, there were only 2 other people really that I could refer to. That was it. And the option was either take the listing and get on the train and trek for an hour and a half. I remember I sold something in North Acton. It took me over an hour and 20 minutes to get there and back, and I viewed it 18 times before I sold it. It was a pain in the backside, and it was only a little one. It was like 280. But like nowadays, I would just refer that, because we've got such a strong cohesive network. I can make a fee on that. The client will get the best service from the person that's in the locality, and I just want to really just reiterate that, because a lot of people out there will just think, right, if I go and I've got to do all this work, and the ability for you to cross sell and to network with the organ, and outside of that within the other growing EXP sort of brokerages that are out there. But yeah, I just thought I'd put that question to you, Nick, because I think it's a valid point.
And then Nick, I mean factually, myself, John, and Jack have more experience than you when it comes to agency. You're flat on Cavendish Road. I had sold one on Cavendish Road. John had sold one on Cavendish Road. You had a listing just off Cavendish Road. And I think in your own WhatsApps, I think you said you reached out to me and John for some buyers. I think you're doing okay, but you weren't quite there. And I got on the phone and said, well, Nick, how many viewings have you done? I think you said that you've done 15 viewings in about 4 weeks. It's like, well, if you've done 15 viewings, in reality, the offer that you have, that is the market in this challenging market saying that is how much the flat is worth. I think you then took that feedback back to the client, and that maybe helped in kind of getting it agreed. So we are always here. We speak about the org, but it's also your direct partners, myself, Jack, John. We are always here to help you. We are all learning from each other. But obviously, we are there to kind of give you that support as well, where factually you don't have the experience that we do. Obviously, we've dealt with those conversations over and over again, but we're here to support you every step of the way. And have you, I know that you do broker open houses, Nick. Talk to us a bit about some of your recent broker open houses, and also who's come down to the open house as well.
Yeah, so as I said, I think broker opens is one of the things that we can kind of leverage in terms of another way of kind of helping our clients to kind of get a sale. So what a broker open is opening up your property to not only brokers that are within either the org or within EXP, but also other brokers that are outside of EXP. So look, I've got this fantastic property. If you happen to have a buyer, come on down, have a look at this house and offer us a share of the commission. Because one of the challenging parts that in old estate agency was Foxtons will go against Winkworth and they wouldn't kind of work together. They were fighting against each other. But the brokerage model is so fantastic that we're here to collaborate. We're here to kind of serve our clients, and you're better off getting a 75% commission rather than 100% if you can kind of get it sold a lot quicker. Yeah, so I've invited a few people down to my recent broker opens, a couple from Luxury Property Partners, other brokerages as well. And yeah, it's been a great event. So some little prosecco, free sandwiches, etc. Yeah, it's been nice.
And it's interesting where you mentioned the brand there, where I see you going to all these open houses. You're obviously talking to agents about the EXP model, and then the next day you say, James, I've got an agent, please can you go and meet him? So I've had 2 agent meetings on the back of that. And it's interesting, there are some brokers out there that brand themselves as luxury agents, and they actually talk down about EXP to say that EXP is for cheaper stock. We all know it's entirely up to the agent how we brand ourselves. I love the bread and butter, as well as selling up to your 1 million, 2 million. I've met some luxury agents recently, and they love that luxury branding, but then they actually fail to get instructed on the bread and butter stock, i.e., the 500k, 1.5%, 7.5k, 800k, 1.5%, 12k fee. If they just go after luxury stock and that doesn't sell because it's hard, they are now aware that branding themselves luxury, you might miss out on the bread and butter that I love selling, as well as having the option to sell luxury. We all know it's entirely up to us how we brand ourselves, but you're going to all these open houses, and then the next message you say, James, I've got another agent for you to meet. And then if they meet us when we discuss all that we have to offer, there's more chance in them joining as opposed to where you were previously, which wasn't as a kind of compelling case.
Yeah.
John, anything to add on to that luxury
Yeah,
part that I just mentioned?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest misconceptions that people have, certainly outside of maybe the broker world, but even cross brokerages, but more importantly from sort of the luxury space, is that what they forget is that they think the brand that is created by the brokerage is what gets them the instruction, or that's the rhetoric that's put forward by the brokerage that, well, if you don't have this brand behind you, this client won't instruct you. Well, the point I would make on that is that if you are an operator in that space, well, you should create your own brand around yourself. Why can't you be, Nick Ifill luxury real estate, but also sell across the board? Just because you sell some things that are at penthouse level doesn't mean you can't go and help someone with a studio. We sell everything and help all people. If you wish to position yourself as just as that, let's say, prime central Knightsbridge broker, and you've got, huge, massive international connections, and that's where you operate, well, you can create that brand around yourself. You don't need to have someone else's brand, and you don't need to build them. It might take you a little bit longer. It might be a bit harder, but the upside benefit of that is so infinitely bigger. And I think there's going to be people that will take over that space very soon with utilizing EXP's brand or agent-focused branding rather than broker-focused branding, and we'll absolutely run away with it because people will follow. And once those early adopters, we were the early adopters of London, myself and James. A lot of people kind of laughed at us, probably smirked at us, probably thinking, what the hell are these guys doing? James left an amazing job in telecom, but previous to that was very high up in CBRE. I was doing exceptionally well at Douglas and Gordon, very strong brand. And I threw it all in to go and try working with this weird American sort of unknown, and look where we are today. And look how many people are now coming. But at the time, when we used to go and speak to people, they were like, EXP, what's that? I think if you ask now, walked into any office in London and asked, do you know what EXP is? I reckon at least half of them know, definitely, if not more.
And then, Jack, kind of coming back to you, obviously spoke about you doing Instagram posts with Nick. How else are you helping your agents, and also how else are you helping Nick? Do you take him on sales valuations? Are you always available at the end of the phone? How else are you trying to mentor and lead and help?
I think similar to what you guys have done for me, right, is, I think everyone has gaps in their knowledge or sometimes might lack a little bit of confidence in a certain area. Just always try to be on the end of a phone. We bounce ideas around. Nick's got new people introduced that we're helping together. I think just in case any potential clients are thinking of working with Nick, I think he was a bit humble with his listing in Clapham. Like, he did a hell of a job on that. It was listed with one, if not two agents before. Nick went in, had the tough conversation that said, if you do actually want to sell, unfortunately, this is more the price. He then went around there with a bunch of his own stuff. He staged the property, and he came up with a really clever marketing plan. Like, the property wasn't a showstopper, but the area and the lifestyle were. So that was the angle that he lent into, and it worked. It was really impressive work. I was really pleased to see it for him.
Yeah, well done. When I watched your video, I got a bit tingly. I get very emotional about
Must have been the
our
short.
agents.
It's oversharing there, mate. I mean, yeah.
At Foxtons, they said I had no emotions. I actually get very emotional about our amazing. And it's also, I thought about mentoring. It's actually reverse mentoring. Like Nick, you did that Instagram post. I get about, I don't know, 200 likes. Like your interactions was like 10,000. I was like, how did you do that? And you said, well, James, you've collaborated. How did you get so many likes, interactions on one of your recent Instagram posts, Nick?
So again, yeah, looking at collaborations, looking at the space, looking at when you're looking at a particular house, let's say on a recent one, which was £1 million house, looking at collaborating with a couple of the social media platforms that specialize in £1 million houses to kind of again share. As the main goal is to get as much eyeballs and attention on your listing. So I could post it alone, might get a couple of thousand, but if I can share and pay into that and to kind of get 10,000, 15,000, it just kind of reaches the exposure that you can get on your listing.
And that was a very simple thing. We're collaborating with social media, not Google, well, I guess, yeah, a bigger presence. And then also simple things like paying for the boost. Is that right as well? So and a boost is £40, but you get so much more. So it's little tips like that that we're all sharing and helping each other to be more successful as well. Cool. Anything else you want to discuss, Nick? Anything else that we've missed?
No, I think we covered. It's a fantastic journey. Second time around with EXP, and I'm loving it. Obviously, as part of the org. Then the next goal is obviously pushing forward towards CAP. So next year, that'll be the goal. So let's kind of get so kind of starting the groundwork now to build
When
for that.
Nick?
I believe it will be October time.
Once you hit that date's ingrained in your mind. You'll never forget it. Believe me, it becomes the be all and end all, and that's the focus. But what's your goal for this year? What's before the end of the year? What are you trying to reach?
So
whatever, it doesn't matter. Just whatever it is you've got as an internal goal.
It's just to kind of get a little bit more kind of stock and be a little bit more consistent with the stock on. So rather than just the 1 and 2, is try to kind of really kind of build and kind of almost kind of set the foundations to kind of set the business up. Because I think that's where I kind of just struggle a little bit. But yeah, so going into next year, hopefully kind of coming out the gate strong and capping early for second year, and bring on some more people to my little kind of team that we kind of got going on with the help of Jack and yourself and James and John. And just keep growing and growing the business.
Amazing. Well, Jack, thank you so much for all the help that you're giving to Nick. Obviously, that is being transferred down to his agents who are joining as well. So thank you so much, guys, for all that you do. Nick, amazing to have you on the pod. We look forward to helping you cap as well. And John, have an amazing another day off at Wimbledon in the sun. Is that tomorrow, Wednesday?
Yeah, sorry, Nick. Just to close out, if people want to watch your Instagram handle, how do they get hold of you?
It's Nicholas _IFILL.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, if you're interested in listing with Nick, you know where to get him. You know if you're inspired by Nick's story and want to follow his success, then again reach out to him. Not only do you get Nick, you get Jack, you get James, you get myself. I mean, what a power team to help you be successful. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, guys. Take care.
Take care, guys.
Have a good day.
Thanks.
Congrats, Nick. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.